Amok's Takeout, my takes on all things considerable. We're here Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific live, high above the low part of California in my COVID gong closet, protected, assisted by my trusty sidekick, Kulin Tongong. He likes to wear a different t-shirt every day. Today he's saying, end speciesism. Well, of course, he's preempted from that. He's a gong. Welcome to the program. Big news story today. Of course, the affidavit that has been unveiled, as much as you can unveil a redacted document, but redacted or not, redacted meaning it's all blacked out, a bunch of Sharpie ink on the key issues. It's sort of like being blindfolded and then doing all the illegal things that you might think you could do, like shoot someone on Fifth Avenue, or like hang out and, have relations with a prostitute. I mean, you're blindfolded. So did it happen? I don't know. It's true. It's real. I mean, being redacted protects the innocent, I suppose. I don't know if that totally made a lot of sense there, but Donald Trump, FPOTUS, former president of the United States, that's what he's named in the document, apparently thinks, or he thought, that there would be something in the documents that would shine a light toward his innocence. Well, you're going to have to help me, because I've read over the document, and I poured over. I've listened to other people's analysis. Maybe I missed something. I listened to people on the left. I listened to people on the right. There is nothing in the redacted documents that would indicate that there could be anything like some kind of pathway to innocence for FPOTUS. If anything, Trump's best defense right now is, oh, this document is so redacted. What does it mean? It means a lot. The redacted parts are to protect the innocent, like FBI agents, things like that. But the number of pages, there's like 38 pages of documents and another 17, 20 pages of appendix notes. I mean, it's just more weight. It adds more weight to the albatross. It adds more weight to the albatross around the neck of FPOTUS. And frankly, I got to wonder if he's getting good advice at all, because the kind of advice that said, we want to see this document, get it released, get it unsealed. Okay, it was going to be redacted. Okay, so now it's unsealed. I don't know if it's helping FPOTUS's cause, the former president of the United States cause. I really, honestly don't. And like I said, it only adds to, I think, his problems. So, I mean, here's the document. And the document is, it's not necessarily boilerplate. It comes right and says here, affidavit in support of application under Rule 41 for a warrant to search and seize. Now, the only thing redacted in that first page is the name of the agent, because we want to protect the agent. And, the first lines are, it contains stuff we already know, but this is essential. The government is conducting a criminal investigation. This is not, a kind of attaboy or a risk. It's a criminal investigation concerning the improper removal and storage of classified information in unauthorized spaces, as well as the unlawful concealment or removal of gut records. Pretty significant. It's just, there it is. You say, oh, I don't understand this legal. You understand that sentence. That's all you need to understand. Criminal investigation concerning improper removal and storage of classified information in unauthorized spaces. Places where this classified stuff shouldn't be, as well as the unlawful concealment and removal of government records. Shouldn't have had them. He took them away. He concealed and removed them somewhere. Oh, perhaps Mar-a-Lago. Of course, that's where they got it. That's where they went in and took the documents. The investigation began as a result of a referral the United States National Archives and Records Administration, NARA, NARA, sent to the United States Department of Justice on February 9th, 2022. This is August 26th, 2022, as I speak to you. This is when the archives alerted DOJ. February. Handy dandy math, right? 6 months ago. NARA referral, not the NRA. This is NARA, the National Archives and Records Administration. And they stated that they were in touch with Trump like January 2022. They got 15 boxes of records, but they needed more. And they were talking about boxes transported from FPOTUS, there it is, Donald J. Trump, his property, 1100 South Ocean Boulevard, Palm Beach, Florida, hereinafter referred to as the premises, known as Mar-a-Lago. So, a lot of people think, oh, this is some kind of baloney, hyped up thing. No, just read the first page. The only thing that is worth redacting is the name of the FBI agent who is being sworn. The rest, they're pretty open. Now, if anything else is redacted, it's to protect the innocent, including, mind you, FPOTUS. Because anything that's in here, well, I mean, people can make assumptions about, FPOTUS is going to be charged, and which is probably why FPOTUS wants everything released, so then he can, on a technicality, say, oh, look, I've been pilloried. I've been treated unfairly. He was kind of egging on the judge and the Justice Department and everyone else to be fully transparent so that he can make that. Now he can't make that claim because they came out with this redacted document protecting him as well as the innocent. Well, he's the innocent. He hasn't been indicted yet, and that's the important thing. This is just an affidavit for the search warrant, but who was out there loudest saying, release the records, release the affidavit, unseal them? Donald Trump. And why? Possibly because he may see it as the only way out of this mess. A technicality that somehow all this stuff was out there and he wasn't treated fair. That's my speculation. I'm not a lawyer, but based on how his attorneys have helped FPOTUS, I'd say I may be as good. Because there are a lot of people who say FPOTUS should have just claimed or invoked the Fifth Amendment as he did in the New York Attorney General's case on how the business, his Trump business was handled in New York. I mean, mind you, there are like 6 different legal entanglements that Trump is involved in. This is just one. And he's used the Fifth before he should have just used that same kind of tactic here and shut up and said, okay, here's the affidavit, here's the search. I'm going to shut up until the next thing happens. But now all of this is because of Donald Trump. Just keep that in mind. All right. So that's basically what you need to know. And as you go through this, you see there's a lot of redacted stuff, but the key thing, what did they find? What did they take away? We know that this involves the Espionage Act, which is a World War I law still in the books that they used to go after spies, right? But if you want to go to the heart of what's new, what is really new in this redacted document. I'm going through all the redacted stuff. Go to paragraph 47. 47 is not exactly keys to the kingdom, but it gives you some real facts. The 15 boxes. From May 16th to 18th, 2022, FBI agents conducted a preliminary review of the 15 boxes provided to the archives and identified documents with classification markings in 14 of the 15 boxes. Here's what they contained: 184 unique documents bearing classification markings, including 67 documents marked confidential, 92 documents marked as secret, 25 documents marked as top secret. Further, the FBI agents observed markings reflecting the following compartments: dissemination controls, HCS, FISA, which is a security code, ORCON, no foreign, and SI, all those related to different aspects of the intelligence apparatus of our country. This is the agent speaking. Based on my training and experience, I know that documents classified at these levels typically contain NDI. Several of the documents also contain what appears to be FPOTUS's handwritten notes. Now, according to the deciphering of all those letters, this is human intelligence information, meaning people in foreign lands who want to help the U.S. government. They provide information. They want to do it anonymously. This is their information, their identities. It's in these documents. Now, a lot of people were speculating earlier that, maybe, because Trump himself said, there's nothing nuclear here. Now, that was speculation. People said, did people expect that Trump had the nuclear codes? I mean, maybe, someone spouting off might have suggested, what does he have? Nuclear code. No. But this is just as damning. This is information that possibly identifies people who have given information to the government, who, if this information were in the hands of countries from which those people were from, they would do terrible, terrible things to these informants. They would put them in jail. They would torture. Can't speculate, but these are people helping the United States. This is why it's top secret. This is why it's confidential. And this paragraph, if you get the affidavit, you can download it. It's easy to find. Paragraph 47. This is what Trump had. And notice, this is unredacted. Trump, in his defense, is saying, look at all the redacted stuff. What do they know? It's redacted for his benefit, because he's still innocent until proven guilty. But of course, he wants it all out, as I said, possibly because if he has it all out, he can say, I wasn't treated fairly. They wanted to get me. I'm an American. I need to be treated right. I'm the president. Yeah, he's no longer president now. He's private citizen Trump. So that is pretty much what we got from this redacted affidavit. It is not a bogus affidavit all filled with marks, and so there's nothing. There's a lot of nothing, or there's a lot of something in the nothingness of the redactions. But as I said, they're the specifics that lay out the plan of the Justice Department in their prosecution. You wouldn't want to send out that kind of information to, your legal adversaries. Not yet, because in the past what has happened when people who have been named as witnesses often get phone calls from FPOTUS himself. I mean, it's happened. So You got to respect that. And so what happened before this redacted document came out, the Justice Department, all the different people involved got together and said, what can be released? What can be released and still be fair to everybody? Including the president and the investigators and the FBI agents, so that their case is not harmed, so that innocent people aren't harmed, so that people who talked to, investigators, people who gave information aren't harmed. Their names are redacted. And especially the names of informants who were part of the documents that were in Mar-a-Lago. So this is the big deal. The big deal is we now have it redacted and out, unsealed, as much of it out there as the judge and the DOJ and everyone involved feel is proper. And you stand back and you say, have we learned more about the situation? And the correct answer to have we learned more is, well, we know that there was 184 unique documents. It wasn't just one piece of, it was 67 documents marked confidential, 92 documents marked secret, 25 documents marked top secret. This is all unredacted. And forget what's redacted. Look at the unredacted stuff. And there's enough unredacted stuff to say this in no way can be seen as somehow exonerating the former president of the United States. And it's all in paragraph. You can't say, oh, I just read paragraph 47 and Donald Trump had nothing. He just had like a, couple of Mickey Mantle baseball cards and, like a love note from the president of Korea. No, these weren't innocent documents. And paragraph 47 says it. And then just go to the first page. You want to know how serious this is? The government is, the first sentence, the government is conducting a criminal investigation. Criminal investigation concerning the improper removal and storage of classified information in unauthorized spaces, as well as the unlawful concealment or removal of government records. It's serious. Don't let anyone try to convince you otherwise. Don't let anyone convince you that the president, the former president of the United States had the right to wave a wand and say, these are declassified. I have the unilateral right to do so. There is nothing in these documents that show the process by which he said these are declassified. These are no longer harmful to anyone. Otherwise, you'd see a lot more printed stuff, less redacted stuff. But here, you got a document that maybe 50% is redacted. And oddly enough, the parts that are left in whole, are left untouched. Only add to the sense that there is indeed something to this criminal investigation, and that there is, just as the judge and the investigators believe, the DOJ believes, there is probable cause that a crime has been committed. All we can do now is stay tuned, see how Donald Trump, the man with all his money, the man known as FPOTUS, how he lawyers up, maybe in a different way. Maybe he gets different legal advice. It's though stunning that nothing in this document makes you think Donald Trump is less guilty today than he was the day of the raid, that he was in May when the archives went over the documents. Nothing. It all just adds on to the weight that perhaps it's a big perhaps, but it seems to me the likelihood of an indictment is very, very strong. So that's the affidavit. I mean, I talk about it because it's being talked about in all the news and it's important. They release it on Friday, not to wreck your weekend. They release it on a Friday so that I think they release it on a Friday because then it's reported on Saturday and no one looks at the news on Saturday. But because news is on a 24-hour cycle, people are looking at the news and people are wondering, what's going on, Emil? Well, they may not be saying that exactly, but they're saying, what do we make of this document? I think what we make of this document is it adds some specifics as to what we didn't know, like how many documents, over 180 or so. And it still protects the innocent, including Donald Trump. He would want that. But now it's out there. Now it's up to, how does Trump lawyer up now? And how does Merrick Garland proceed? It looks to me from this that indictments could be forthcoming. But here's the thing, and Republicans know this, and this is the creepy thing about Republicans. Republicans just want a winner. It's sort of like football. We're coming up to football season. You know, remember the late Al Davis used to say about his Oakland Raiders, just win, baby. Republicans are in a just win, baby mode. And they don't care how. They don't care how, what has to happen. They're in just win, baby mode. And I don't think they realize how much they are damaging what's really left of the Republican brand. And look, I've got Republicans in my family on the white side of the family. And I feel for them because they're going to have to be Democrats or something. They're going to have to move over because the Republican Party is tarnished. They're no longer Party of Lincoln. They're no longer even the party of Liz Cheney. They're not even that. Not if you have all these people flocking to defend Trump. I have to wonder if all those people who flocked to defend Trump when the documents were first taken from Mar-a-Lago, what will they say now? What can they say now? They can only say that maybe we ought to think about alternatives. But I don't know. I don't know if that alternative includes taking the DeSantis pill. I honestly don't know. Although when I see DeSantis talk and I see his ridiculous comments about different things, like of course he's against the student loan forgiveness. He's against that, even though he knows people like his good buddy, Matt Gaetz, had a PPP loan forgiven for about $475,000. He knows that, his fellow MAGA cohort, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, was forgiven by $184,000 for her PPP loan. Meanwhile, normal PPP loan people, I mean, small business people, I can see taking advantage of that. But for people who received the grace of a PPP loan and then were forgiven, for them to speak out against student loans, oh my God. So anyway, DeSantis sounds like not the answer either. as we go into, we're approaching Labor Day weekend, not this weekend, but the next. This is the time for some deep soul searching on the part of Republicans, because I think this redacted document contains a lot to think about if you were thinking about supporting FPOTUS. I think if you were on the Trump train and thinking about a good time to jump off, now would be a good time to jump off. All right, so it's the weekend coming up, and I don't want to be a downer. I was on another show yesterday, and I corrected myself. I said this yesterday about Ranch 99, which is the Asian market in California. There's one in Richmond, Northern California. I believe they're all over the state. I don't know. There's one in a suburb of San Francisco, which is very, very Asian. Because if you go into a Ranch 99, it's like going into a new Chinatown, really. I mean, it's like one big megastore. It's like, if you can imagine Best Buy being Asian. Well, actually, all those products in Best Buy are Asian, But a Best Buy, all right, it's a combination of a food supermarket and Best Buy with nothing but Asian products. Food, electronics, you name it. All next to each other. You can get woks, you get electronic goods, you can get pastries, you can get fresh foods, you can get fish and body parts. And so yesterday I was talking about a body part that was for sale. And I said it was beef. And because I believe in the integrity of the body part, I must re-identify it as a pork body part. So it was a pork body part, and it was an unusual one. And as I said on this other podcast, it was a female pork body part, which it shouldn't be disgusting if you're a meat eater, right? I mean, if you're a meat eater who likes standard parts of the meat, oh, I eat a pork shoulder. Oh, I eat a pork butt. Oh, that's as racy as I get, Emil. Pork butt. I don't get racier than that. Well, do you get as racy as pork bung? Now, I guess I knew what a bunghole was, but I didn't understand if a pork had one, or a pig, but apparently they do. And they were selling those too. And I guess a pork bung could be female or male. They were selling one that was exclusively a female body part, though. I only mention this because if it's enough to freak you out, you might say, all right, look, I don't eat that. I'll only eat a pork chop. Oh, you'll eat a pork chop, but you won't eat a pork bung tissue? A pork bung tissue sounds like a toilet paper for a pig or something. But no, it's the tissue associated with the bung. And you say, oh no, I'd never eat that. I'd only eat the pork chop. Well, what difference does it make? It's from the same animal. And they say, well, I just want other people to eat that. I just don't want to waste all of the pig. Well, how about this? Why don't you go to the very beginning of your appetite, to the actual pork chop? Why have the chop? If you don't have the chop, you don't have a bung problem. You don't have a pork female body part problem. You've spared the pork. You've spared the pig, excuse me. And I think, I wasn't thinking this originally, but as I've been talking about this, I know that all you have to do is go. I mean, I went to this store with my wife. We were just like killing some time. I'd never been to a Ranch 99 it's been a few years because I don't live near one, and we just happen to be in one in the Dublin Pleasanton area. And in California, not Dublin, Ireland, but California. And I just felt remarkably Asian again. I just felt, oh my God, my Asianness is just coming out. And then, we went through the products, the noodles and the the refrigerated goods, the frozen foods. But then we got to the fresh meats, seafoods. That's where it hits you. Like, why do we eat this? It makes you want to be vegan. And of course, we go straight from the pork bunghole part and make a beeline to the wonderful greens section, where all these greens, because you go to a Chinese restaurant when they're feeding the help at the end, and you're ordering your chow mein or your egg foo young or whatever, if that's your taste. But you go to a Chinese restaurant, and you see what they feed the help, and oh my God, what a feast. They just bring out bowl and after bowl of greens and vegetables and rice, and they're just like taking their chopsticks and they're enjoying life. They're eating those greens. And I'm not talking about standard greens like spinach. I'm talking about yam greens and pea sprouts and all these things you don't ordinarily find. It's always a revelation going to an Asian market, and not because of the weird food. It's a revelation because of all the healthy, vegan, vegetarian, green stuff. And if you ever wanted that jarring feeling, I went there for the first time in years, and I felt my Asianness, but I went back to the fresh food, or I went back to where they have the meat and the seafood, and I saw the lingcods, and I saw the crabs, and I saw they had snails, and I thought, why am I eating that? Why am I thinking of eating that? I should be heading over to the greens. And then I saw the eggs, and I saw they had balut, they had duck eggs, they had the fertile duck eggs with the embryos in it, the ones that the Filipinos eat, the ones that I used to eat years ago. And I admit I picked one up, and I looked at it, and I said, I put it back. I couldn't do it. I took a beeline to the greens, got some choy sum, some bok choy, some other greens that you don't find regularly at a grocery store. That night we came home. We had our greens feast with rice and beans. It was great. It's a way to reaffirm your veganness. Go to one of these Asian markets. You'll just say, yeah, I don't eat that other stuff. I eat this stuff. I eat the bitter melon. I eat the greens. I eat the vegetables. I eat like an Asian. Of course, they always have all the fake tofu. Not fake tofu, but the fake meats made out of bean curd and mock ducks and the mock chickens and the mock, loaded with fat, though. So you got to eat those sparingly. But I'm telling you, it was a reaffirmation of what I was about dietarily. And frankly, it was just sort of serendipitous. We were wandering around shopping. We're shopping. And first we saw the mochi donuts, which I talked about yesterday. And then we said, oh, there's a Ranch 99. We should go to Ranch 99. And earlier we stopped at a liquor store because we wanted to buy alcohol for this party. And then I said, okay, a little less because I'm not drinking. And I don't want to spoil things for your party and nor for mine. But I am not drinking anymore. I mean, I'm drinking a little bit, socially, perhaps, but very, very little. I'm drinking the non-alcoholic IPA. I'm drinking Pellegrino water. I'm trying to avoid it because my nutrition guru, Dr. Greger at nutritionfacts.org, he's done these studies on how safe alcohol is. And he's determined that given the cancer risk from drinking alcohol, if there are only harms without any benefits, then the ideal alcohol intake on a routine day-to-day basis should be 0. Have you got to think about this? The cancer risk, the mortality rate from drinking, it's just like straight up, right? The more you drink, the more you die. The cancer risk, the more you drink, the more you get cancer. There are only harms, there are no benefits. Now, people were fooled because there was this thing called the J curve, okay? So the J, at the very top of the J, it's the increased risk of death by drinking. But then it drops down to a gully, and then it comes up, the part where the horn is. And the part where the horn is, those were the non-drinkers. And there was the presumption was if those are the non-drinkers, and they have some some risk of death, who are the people down there at the bottom? And those people were the moderate drinkers. So keep in mind that J curve. So here's where the low drinkers are, then you dip down to the moderate drinkers, and then it goes up high. That's your J. And that top part of the J, that is the high death rates, alcoholism or alcohol. And at the bottom part of the J, those are the moderate drinkers, and they have the low death rates. And so people thought, oh, you can moderately drink and it's still okay. That's where that assumption came from. It turns out they were misclassifying people who were no longer drinking. And by just adjusting how they classified people in their study, then there was no more J curve. It was just straight from the bottom to the top. The more you drank, the more you die. The more you got cancer. And so there really is no benefit to even moderate drinking. I mean, that's something that the wine industry, the alcohol industry wants you to believe. But it's all in How to Lie with a Scientific Study. Dr. Greger at nutritionfacts.org, I trust. He's been through all the studies. And once again, the bottom line for him is, given the cancer risk from drinking alcohol, if there are only harms without any benefits, then the ideal alcohol intake on a routine day-to-day basis should be 0. 0. And, he's right. Now, just this week, another study came out, and this is maybe has an Asian spin on it, because this is according to the JAMA Network Open, the Journal of American Medicine, or American Medical Association. People who increased the amount of alcohol they drank also had an increased risk of cancer, according to this large study in Korea. The study found that people who increased the amount they drank had a higher risk of all cancers, including alcohol-related cancers, than the group that made no changes to their drinking habits. The risk also increased for non-drinkers who changed their habits and became mild to moderate or heavy drinkers. So if you went from non-drinking to drinking, your cancer risk went higher. And this is the American Cancer Chief Scientific Officer speaking, William Dahout. He said, "This is another great example of how changing behavior could significantly decrease cancer deaths. The most striking findings is the impact on cancer deaths with changes in alcohol consumption. Individuals should be strongly counseled that they can dramatically decrease their cancer risk if alcohol consumption is moderated." Now that's a loaded word, moderated. He could have said you can dramatically decrease your cancer risk if alcohol consumption is eliminated. Now, I'm not suggesting this to spoil the party. Look, I'm going to be around a lot of people who will be drinking. this weekend. We're celebrating a lot in the Guillermo household. But I honestly think this is your personal choice. If you have the information, you can go forth with the knowledge of what kind of risk is acceptable to you, right? I mean, that's true with everything from monkeypox to COVID to alcoholism and cancer. What's an acceptable risk? And to go back to Dr. Greger, if there is no benefit to drinking, why drink? If the cancer risk only goes higher, why have it? Oh, Emil, I want to have some fun. Well, rephrase that. Oh, Emil, I just want to have some death risk. See, it doesn't make sense. There are other ways to have fun. There are other ways to enjoy the company of others. I have a hard enough time being in the company of others awake. Alcohol would only hasten the lack of wakeness or wokeness. I kind of welcome the idea that I'm just going to hold a Pellegrino water and join in the fun. But I just warn you, because I know that summer's ending, people are having a good time. I don't want to put a damper on your good time. And not 100%. Maybe like 30% of a damper. You know, like put me like on your shoulder. I'm just a little Filipino guy sitting on your shoulder saying, wagging my finger. Or maybe just gently saying, like lifting up a glass that's empty. Trying to suggest, oh yeah, stay away from that. You don't need that. You don't need that to be happy. You don't need that to be healthy. I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. You're going to want to do crazy things. Maybe instead of alcohol, maybe this week, commit yourself to ayahuasca or something, where you just, intentionally, purposefully vomit. I mean, that's not that bad by comparison. Although, make sure you have a full bucket or an empty bucket around to mitigate against your full bucket. I just think that there are a lot of signs. These studies, I'm seeing these studies come out. This one this week in Korea. And, Asians, you love that alcohol flush. We love that flush. Really? Do we really have to, play up that? I'll tell you, one of the things I know a lot of people like the hard seltzers. I like the soft beers. You like I like soft beer. I found an IPA that is like non-alcoholic, which means there might be alcohol in the fumes, but it's so infinitesimal. It's sort of like the innocence of Trump in those affidavits I was reading from. It's so infinitesimal that, I could drink a whole 4-pack of that stuff and still feel sufficiently lubricated to speak in a, shall we say, entertaining manner. I don't know. I don't want to be the judge of that. You could be the judge of that, but now this is not from the benefit of any alcohol. I think what did I have today? Oh, I just had some espresso. That's it. Homemade. So it's kind of, it's not, well, look, homemade espresso. We got an inexpensive espresso machine. I mean, I know espresso aficionados feel like you have to spend at least $1,000 on an espresso machine for it to be officially espresso and not espresso. No, I don't drink espresso. No. This is espresso, but it's not, bust your wallet espresso. It is an espresso that you can get at Best Buy. No, not Best Buy. Bed Bath & Beyond. The Beyond espresso. And I swear, because we bought coffee shop espresso machines, the kind from that store that, Star, those guys. And their machines are They're not good. They're not good. And then the espresso they make, oh my God, they burn the espresso. And when you're dealing with French roast to begin with, now you're dealing with burnt on burnt, double burnt. That's like that affidavit I was reading from being doubly redacted in black. It just doesn't taste good. I'll get a double. I'll get a doppio. Only a doppio would order a doppio. A doppio is just, it just doesn't taste good. I mean, they make it so that you got to put something in it because they burn the espresso. Anyway, so my home machine doesn't burn the espresso. It controls the temperature. It tastes beautiful. It tastes like coffee should. And so that's all I had today. This show running on the benefit of a doppio espresso from Emil's cheap espresso machine, not from alcohol. I can vouch for that. All right, so hey, that's it. Our program, I think we shall call it a week. Of course, you can read my columns on ALDEF, the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund, aldef.org/blog. I'll write about the affidavit. Probably be up there by tomorrow. I will also talk about some other things. I'm a big sports fan, and God, I'm so frustrated. Yesterday's 49er game was on Amazon, and it was like Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. You can only get it on Amazon. I was looking for it on my YouTube TV, not there. Looking for it on cable, not there. Looking for it on broadcast, not there. I couldn't find it. It's on Amazon. They're sneaking Thursday on Amazon, and I could have watched it live, which would have saved me having to watch it later when I knew the 49ers had lost. I will say this about Trey Lance. I have no faith in Trey Lance as a quarterback. Trey Lance is like trying to stand up on a wobbly dance floor. Imagine a wobbly dance floor. And not from alcohol, just because the dance floor itself is it's hard to. He is a wobbly. His passes are wobbly. He's wobbly. He might be an athletic, as I can say, an athletic specimen, a tremendous athlete, but for some reason, he needs more reps as quarterback, and he's still maybe a year or two away from being great. Now, maybe the 49ers can be great by having great everything else and just a marginal leader, but I don't know. It doesn't look like it. Their defense looked bad against the Texans last night. The receivers look, if your quarterback's bad, your receivers look bad. Your running game didn't look great. It just was a total mediocre kind of game. And I guess we can expect a lot of that kind of up and down impermanence happening throughout the season, or where they play, 18 games or so? It's going to be a long season. You might love them or might hate them a little bit at the start, might love them later, but it's not going to be when the Warriors won the NBA and were practically winning every game. I think if you're a Bay Area sports fan, you were kind of spoiled by that, thinking, oh my God, we're going to win today. I mean, there's a good feeling knowing you are better than everyone. I don't know exactly how that feels. There are some people in our midst who might know how that feels. But the Warriors were like that for that 1 year, 2015. I forget what year it was. The first year they were stacked. They just won every time. And now they got to struggle a little bit, which is good. It's good to have struggle. So, so tonight, I don't know, there's going to be more football on the weekend. I guess it'll be good if you're a sports fan. So, look, it's going to be fun. It's going to be hot. Enjoy the weather. Enjoy the people you're with. Enjoy your family. It's a good day at the Guillermo household when my daughter's is having a birthday. So happy birthday to her. Um, and really enjoy the weekend. Regular listeners to this show know that I like to end the show with a little meditation. A meditation. A loving kindness meditation. Because, people who've followed how I've done my talk shows throughout the maybe you heard me when I was in Washington or Sacramento or San Francisco. And I would have been a little harder on Donald Trump today. But something has changed. I'm a little more magnanimous. Magnanimous and equanimous, which means try less to be of a knee-jerking kind of way and more of a insightful in service sort of way to try to bring to you another insight from my perspective. And not an insignificant perspective, but a person of color, Asian American, Filipino American, a person they never ask what you think. Of course, we think, but just no one ever wants to hear what we have to say. So this is an empowering thing for other Asian Americans, for other people who feel like they aren't heard. Well, I hear you. I see you. And we're talking, we're speaking out. So I know a lot of people who may have heard me years ago might say, well, you kind of softened a little bit. What happened there? And it's because of meditation. Started meditating. It was cheaper than alcohol. And it worked, especially the loving self-kindness meditations, where you begin by thinking about someone who you love, someone who's helped you, a benefactor of sorts. And then you think of someone you absolutely hate, but maybe, you're maybe a little sorry that you hate this person because you shouldn't. And then a third category are people you're neutral toward. Like to someone who doesn't make an impact on you. You're neutral. Yeah, you talk to them. And then there's everyone else. And you look at those four groups of people and you wish them all well. You say a little chant and you believe you see them and you say these chants. And by offering that love, by offering that feeling, you increase your empathy and you find that the love that you give out comes back to you. So, as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Emil Guillermo here. Catch us on amok.com, the repeat. On Twitter at Emil Amok, Facebook at fb.com/EmilGuillermo.media. YouTube, like us, subscribe to us. YouTube, the Emil Guillermo channel. Have yourselves a great weekend. Listen to the past shows. This week, 375 was good. 374 was good. 373 was good. 372 was good. 370 was good. 371 was a good show. Check out the repeats. Till next time. Emil Guillermo. Have a good weekend. Back Monday. Mahal.